What has gone so wrong for the Cleveland Cavaliers?
They don't care, and they're terrible at defense.
But other than that, everything's amazing?
I mean, it's very simple what's happened with the Cavs.
They're not really talented.
The Cavs, I don't agree with that. I don't think
Where's
that's
all
the
the
case.
talent?
Well,
Where's all the talent?
if you have the best
athleticism, let's say that. They're not really athletic either.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree that they're not incredibly athletic, and that's part of the reason they're not great defensively. But there are reasons they wouldn't be great at a lot of things. The only reason that they're awful at anything, the worst defense in the NBA, the worst first quarter team in the NBA, is because they don't care right now. And by the way, that's not okay. It's just the reality. The reality is the Cavs have played 3 games this year that mattered to them. The 3 games against likely the second, third, and fourth best teams in the conference. Boston, Milwaukee, and Washington. Those are the only 3 games they weren't trailing after the first quarter. Against most teams, they're trailing by double digits after the first quarter. They've played 3 games against opponents that they would see in the playoffs later rounds, and they've won those 3 games and they've played well. Every other game, they've acted as if they are the defending champions. They are not the defending champions. They got beat soundly last year in the finals. The only guy who's playing as if he knows that is LeBron. So there's a lot of reasons to be frustrated with this team. There's a lot of reasons to be disappointed with this team. I don't think there's any reason to panic about this team because they have shown the ability in games that matter to them to play like we thought they would.
Well, they have done that with players, only a few players on the team, on the current team that have done that. So I'm concerned. The reason why I'm concerned is because the lack of intensity when the games start.
Yeah.
Like you only have so many professional games to play. And the lack of intensity that they have, especially defensively. Now, as I mentioned before, they're not a very athletic team. So they can't get up and down the court. When Ty Lue first took over for Coach Blatt, that was his thing. We're going to rebound the ball and get up and down the court. Now they can't do that. They're not a good rebounding team. They're a horrible defensive team.
Horrible.
And they can't score enough points in the NBA game. So even if before, which they had lapses in defenses, we've seen that before, but they could score. They could score a bunch of points. So I thought they would struggle without Isaiah Thomas. It's more evident with LeBron missing training camp that when he wasn't there practicing, I don't know what type of leadership that the rest of the team had in getting ready. And Dwayne Wade being inserted into the starting lineup and JR coming off the bench, neither one of those guys is playing great. So I don't look for this to end anytime soon. But they need Isaiah Thomas back so at least they can score the basketball, which would help,
mitigate some of the factors. But the reality is, and where I won't let them off the hook is, when Isaiah Thomas comes back, that does not fix their defense. Might make their defense worse. Isaiah Thomas, as great of a player as he is.
No, but if you can score the basketball.
Exactly right. But they still are going to have to become much better defensively, and that's a focus issue.
But you guys both agree that their defense is terrible, their rebounding is terrible, those points they put up are terrible, their effort is terrible, the skill set is terrible. It's all terrible. But yet you're like, no problem. I have no concerns whatsoever. I know they're going to be there in the end. I think you believe they're going to be there in the end. So my question now is, if you had to pinpoint, is it chemistry, is it effort, or is it skill? Like, what's the problem?
It's effort.
Except LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Tyronn Lue? Is that, like, are those the 3 people
by the way,
Dwayne Wade is only a shell of himself.
He had one really good game already.
Yes, like you can't depend on Dwayne Wade to get you 18 points every night.
I picked Dwayne because he's the only one besides LeBron who's acknowledged that there are problems on this team.
Well, listen,
effort problems.
Everyone knows it. And by the way, part of the effort is on my guy LeBron. LeBron's been bad defensively. He's been disengaged defensively. Now he's made up for it because, shockingly, he's been the best player in the league this year. Like, I know it's coming as a surprise to everyone. LeBron, at the 1/8 mark of the season, he's 4th in the NBA in points. He's 4th in the NBA in assists. He's 2nd in the NBA in PER. He's 1st in the NBA in field goal percentage of perimeter players. LeBron's been the best player in the league and just did put up that 57, 11, and 7. But his defense has been mediocre, and the team's defense has been abysmal.
And Jenna, the reason it seems like we're giving them a pass, because this sport is a lot different. We're looking at the teams who they would have to play in the playoffs. Now they're 70 games, 65 games away from that. But who can beat LeBron 4 times? So that's the reason why we still have confidence. Like, none of those teams are going to be able to beat LeBron because he'll be in shape. Isaiah will be back. So the regular season is not quite as important as the other regular seasons that we see in the other major sports.
In the East, I don't know. There are some teams in the West, I feel like, besides just the Warriors, that would beat
the Cavs
LeBron
is presently
James
constituted
4 times.
would lose to a bunch of teams in the West.
Yeah, but you don't have to. You get through the East to get to the West.
Right.
So now, if they had cross seeding, which they thought about in the NBA, Cleveland would be in trouble. Like, they would be in trouble. Based on the format that we have now, Cleveland can still get to the finals because there's still not a team out there that can beat LeBron 4 times.
And this, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. Orlando, Chicago, New Orleans, New York, Atlanta. Those 5 games. New Orleans is the best team in that group by far. Orlando's played better than people thought they would, but Orlando's not going to finish the year a good team. First quarter, they're being outscored by an average of 12 points in those games. They've been outscored by at least 9 in every single one of those games. Like, this team is not coming out ready to play. You let Atlanta put up 37 on you. You let New Orleans put up 35 on you. You let Chicago put up 38.
And yet,
what?
Not worried at all.
Well, Jenna, I don't. There's only so many ways I can make the same point, which is because we've seen these guys play. Because we know what they are, the different gears they have. And we've seen it. We've seen this in NBA history. We saw it with the Lakers in the early 2000s. We saw it, by the way, with the Warriors already this season, that the first week of the year they were kind of sleepy, and now all of a sudden they're starting to turn it on quicker. Like, we've seen these things before. Now, adjustments need to be made. Derrick Rose might not be a playable NBA forget starter. He might not be a playable guy anymore. Dwayne Wade really needs to be playing about 16 to 18 minutes a game. There are adjustments that need to be made.
Right. Kevin Love has a hard time playing the center position because he's guarding a bigger guy. Tristan Thompson, he's got.
You're going up and down the lineup. Besides LeBron, adjustments need to be made on almost everyone else on the roster.
That's a big but, though, with LeBron. And no one in the East. There's no team right now that says, you know something, bring us the Cavs on right now. In November, bring us the Cavs on, and we can beat them in a series of 7.
Jenna, you know when I'll be worried?
Tell me.
If they don't show up tonight against Milwaukee. Milwaukee, that's a team. Giannis is playing great. Guess what will happen tonight? The Cavs will win this game tonight.
Okay.
And then they'll lose against a terrible team next week.
All right, so thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.